Passwords are one of the main protectors of our digital lives, our digital twins. But with hundreds of accounts, how can you possibly remember and manage all those passwords? In this video, I'll walk you through password management best practices. You'll learn about password managers, passphrases, multi-factor authentication or MFA, and most importantly, how to set up a layered approach to protect your accounts and boost your security. The digital world is no longer separate from our daily lives. Your online accounts aren't just for managing your emails or shopping lists. They now control and interact with physical objects around you. From your smart cameras and robot cleaners to even your car. Your digital identity, often secured by just username and passwords, unlocks access to these devices, much like keys to your home or car. Today, we each juggle countless online accounts across websites, apps, and smart devices, creating a bridge where the digital world directly shapes and controls the physical world we live in. Studies show that on average, each person has about 100 accounts, which means 100 usernames and, more importantly, 100 passwords. To manage these overwhelming number of passwords, some people choose simple passwords and may add a number at the end, changing that over time or for different accounts. You might have noticed that some companies ask you to rotate your password at specific intervals, like every 6 months, which makes managing passwords even more complicated. Some people, on the other hand, choose strong passwords, but use the same one for a range of accounts, or again simply add numbers at the end for different apps. So what's the solution then? How can we remember so many passwords without sacrificing complexity and security? This is where the password managers comes in. Password managers are solutions that keep record of all your credentials. They're essentially a centralized place for your credentials. You only need to remember one password, which is the password manager's master password. In other words, the password to access the password manager. This single password becomes the key to your digital twin. Aside from being a place to store your credentials, there are many other benefits to using password managers. Password managers are easy to use. They make your life easier because you don't need to remember all those passwords from different accounts. Password managers normally allow autofilling. In other words, they can automatically fill out forms for you. They typically store not only credentials but also your name, address, phone number, email, and even credit card information. So you don't need to enter them manually, which saves time. This is also more secure since you don't need to type your information, especially your password, in public places. Typing sensitive information in public allows attackers or malicious actors to see what you typed and then reuse it. That's what we call shoulder surfing, or they even may capture it on camera for later use. Password Manager also suggests strong passwords for you. So when you need to create an account, they not only store your credentials but also suggest a strong password that you can use. The password is then automatically saved in the Password Manager for future use. Password managers can also help detect fake websites and protect you against scams. The way this works is that password managers store the exact URL used to log in to your account. When you visit that website again, they autofill your credentials, but if the website is a fake, the password manager won't autofill, and that's when you should be more cautious. Another key feature is that they monitor the dark web and also notify you if your password has been compromised or reported in a database of stolen passwords, so you can act quickly and change your password. When it comes to using password managers, many people have different concerns that make them reluctant to use them. One major concern is the fact that password managers are a centralized storage for the credentials of all your online accounts. So if compromised, an attacker will have access to all your accounts, or at least the credentials for them. Another concern is that you lose the master key or your master password, you basically lose access to all your accounts. A further concern is about how these tools store passwords. Are the credentials stored in the cloud as well? How secure is the app itself? What about new vulnerabilities in the password manager? These are all valid questions and highlight the importance of choosing a safe and well-maintained password manager. Let me suggest some security best practices and recommendations you can follow to address these concerns. Choose a strong, complex, and long master password that you are not using anywhere else, ideally at least 24 characters long. You should be able to lock the app securely. For example, if you install it on your phone and want to access it, you should either enter a PIN, a password, or use biometric options like your face or fingerprint to unlock it, even if the phone is already unlocked. Also, how good is the software provider at supporting the password manager and releasing updates in case of a vulnerability? This is especially critical, so you may need to do some research or rely on well-known password managers. And one of the most important factors, choose a password manager that allows you to use multi-factor authentication or MFA. Make sure the password managers you choose supports MFA. But why is MFA so important? The answer might surprise you. You ready? Passwords are not safe. They can be cracked, leaked on the dark web, or brute forced, which is when an attacker tries to guess your password by making many repeated attempts. This is why you need to protect your accounts even more. In cybersecurity, authentication is based on 3 factors. Something you know, like a password, something you have, like a phone, something you are, like your face or fingerprint. When we talk about multi-factor authentication, it means using a method that combines at least 2 of these factors. For example, something you know, like a password, and something you have, like a text message sent to your phone or an authenticator app you registered earlier. This makes your account significantly more secure. Even if an attacker somehow gets their hands on your password, they still need the other factor before they can access your account. We've talked a lot about bad guys selling passwords on the dark web, but how do hackers get their hands on passwords in the first place? I'm not going to get into the details or technicals side, but in a nutshell, attackers use techniques like password guessing or brute forcing, which means they try different combinations until they find the correct password. That's why we always recommend choosing random, long, and complex passwords. So guessing or brute forcing your password becomes almost impossible. Another common approach is social engineering, which is the art of hacking people. For example, an attacker may create a website that looks just like Facebook and lure you into visiting it and entering your credentials, thinking you're logging in to Facebook. Malware or malicious piece of code or software that attackers manage to install on their victim's machine is another method. And the last one that I want to talk about is shoulder surfing. And this is when an attacker tries to watch what you're typing, often in public places. Passwords are hard to manage, hard to come up with, and comes with a lot of challenges. In recent years, a new concept has been introduced to help solve these challenges, which is passphrases. First and foremost, let's discuss what is a passphrase. A passphrase is a long sequence of words that are completely random and unrelated, but easy for you to remember. Unlike passwords, they don't need to include numbers, symbols, or be overly complex. They just need to be long, random sequence of words. The key to a passphrase strength is its length and randomness. The minimum should be 14 characters or 4 words, but it's better to go longer, say around 20 characters. And of course, the randomness of the words used is important. Passphrases can also include symbols, numbers, or even spaces. The magic behind passphrases is that they are longer than normal passwords because they are made up of multiple words. To reiterate, passphrases should be random words without any direct connection, and they should be long. Okay, you might ask, so now what? Should we just simply use password managers and install all our passwords and passphrases there? Here's my recommendation. Use a multi-tiered approach, defense in depth. Categorize your accounts into 3 or 4 groups. Let's say we go with 3. Normal, important, and critical. Your normal accounts are the ones you use every day, such as online shopping, websites, or apps where you log in just to access a service or save something for yourself. The key here is that these accounts don't contain sensitive information or financial data. Your important accounts are those that hold more critical data, like your social media, messaging app. Your critical accounts are the core services that everything else depends on them, like your primary email address that you use as a backup or recovery email for all of your other accounts, the master passwords for your password manager, or your main bank account where you keep your saving. For normal accounts, you can use a password manager and let it suggest and store passwords. Your important accounts can also be stored in a password manager, but it's crucial to enable multi-factor authentication on them. If your service provider doesn't support MFA, you might even consider switching to one that does. For critical accounts, you should remember the password yourself. You can use passphrases at this level to make them easier to remember. So as you move deeper into these layers, you transition away from passwords toward passphrases for better security and memorability. You might even consider using 2 password managers. For example, use the built-in browser password managers for normal accounts and a dedicated app like the Passwords app on iPhone for the more important accounts. There is an important recommendation from the Australian government that says consider what accounts you're putting into your password manager. Some service providers like banks may not cover losses if you store your password in a password manager. That's why I'm saying consider a layered and a defense in depth. Study the target, see what's the criticality of the data, and based on that decide on where you want to store your information. Some people choose to write their passwords down and store them in a safe and secure place like a password book. Please note that as long as you follow security best practices, you should be in good shape. Do not use the same password for multiple accounts. Use random long passphrases or complex long passwords. Use MFA. Don't rely on passwords alone. Store critical passwords or passphrases securely. Do not leave your password manager or devices unlocked. Always lock them, as access to an unlocked device allows an attacker to get into your password manager. Before I wrap up, it's important to emphasize that passwords alone are not safe. So if your account is important, always use MFA to add an extra layer of protection. In this video, we talked about password managers and how to protect the keys to access your digital twin. It's very important to consider the sensitivity of each account and the level of access it could give to an attacker. Then choose proper passwords and security controls accordingly. Never use the same password or even the same pattern of password across different websites. Use MFA whenever possible and consider switching to long passphrases for stronger protection. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. See you next time.